The space station's grand hall was crowded, filled with traders, travelers, and soldiers from every corner of the galaxy. The air was a mix of strange smells, roasted alien spices, burning engine fuel, and something sweet like flowers from a distant world. Lights from neon signs reflected off the shiny floor, making it look like everyone was walking over ripples of a rainbow. In the middle of all this noise and movement, he saw her. She stood near the large glass wall that showed the endless darkness of space. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the station lights, and her long hair shimmered like liquid starlight. Her tall figure was wrapped in a flowing robe, with glowing threads that seemed to move on their own. Her eyes were not just looking, they were piercing through every soul that passed by. People gave her space, not daring to get too close. Her race was known for their pride and beauty. They rarely spoke to outsiders, especially humans. To them, humans were unpredictable, brave but reckless. Most humans kept their distance, afraid of offending these elegant beings. But he felt something different. His name was Aaron. He was not the richest man in the station, not the strongest, and not a hero in any grand war. He was just a traveler passing through with a bag of supplies and a restless heart. Yet when his eyes met hers, it felt like a sudden pull, as if the universe itself had tied an invisible thread between them. For a moment, he thought about walking away. What could he possibly say to someone like her? But then, an idea flashed. In his mind, an idea so bold it made his heart pound. He stepped forward, moving through the crowd until he was standing in front of her. The noise of the station seemed to fade, replaced by the slow, steady beat of his own heartbeat. She turned her gaze to him, and for a moment the world stopped. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Her features were delicate yet strong, her lips curved in a shape that seemed naturally tempting. There was no fear in her eyes, only curiosity and maybe a hint of amusement. He cleared his throat and spoke, his voice steady despite the storm in his chest. "Would you go on a date with me?" The words were simple, but in that space, at that moment, they sounded like the most daring question in the galaxy. People nearby froze. A group of alien merchants turned their heads. A soldier carrying a plasma rifle paused mid-step. Even the bartender from across the hall leaned forward to see what would happen. It was as if the entire station had heard him. Her expression didn't change at first. She just looked at him, her glowing eyes scanning his face, reading every detail as if searching for something hidden beneath his skin. Seconds passed and still she said nothing. Aaron felt the weight of every stare on his back. He could hear whispers behind him. Did he just? No way. She cut him down with words. Humans are crazy. But he stood his ground. His eyes didn't move away from hers. If she refused, he would accept it, but he wanted her to know he wasn't afraid. Finally, her lips curved into a slow, deliberate smile. She leaned forward, close enough that he could see the tiny silver patterns on her skin like faint constellations. Her voice came out low, musical and strange. Speaking in her own language? The sound was unlike anything he had ever heard. It felt like a song and a warning at the same time. The small translator device on his wrist blinked and began to translate her words. The screen flashed once, twice, before showing the message. Aaron read it, and his eyes widened. It wasn't yes. It wasn't no. It was something else. Something far more dangerous. She straightened her posture and began to walk away. But not before giving him one last glance over her shoulder. That look wasn't the look of someone rejecting him. It was an invitation, but not the kind most people would dare to accept. Aaron stood frozen for a moment. His mind was trying to process what she had just said and what it meant. Around him, the crowd started moving again, their whispers fading into the general noise of the station. But in his chest, something had changed. A challenge had been placed before him, and he knew one thing for certain. His life was about to be pulled into a world he had never imagined. He glanced down at the translator again, reading those strange words over and over. The meaning was clear now. If he wanted that date, he would have to follow her into a place no human had dared to go, and so, without hesitation, he started walking after her. Aaron followed her through the station, weaving between travelers and cargo drones. She moved like water, smooth and unhurried, yet somehow always ahead of him. Every step seemed planned, as if she knew exactly where she wanted him to go. They passed the bright, noisy market halls filled with alien spices and glowing trinkets, then turned into quieter corridors where the lights were dim, and the walls hummed with the deep vibration of the station's engines. The crowd thinned until it was just the two of them, her tall figure casting a long shadow in the narrow passage. Finally, she stopped in front of a small observation deck, a place where the glass stretched from floor to ceiling, showing the vast black sea of space. Stars glittered like cold fire, and in the distance, a giant gas planet glowed with shades of purple and blue. She turned to face him, her eyes glowing brighter now, reflecting the light of distant suns. Aaron's heart was still pounding, but he met her gaze without flinching. She spoke again in her language, the words flowing like liquid silver. The translator on his wrist blinked, processing the strange tones. Then the words appeared on the screen: one night, one chance. But if you fail, you will never see me again. Aaron blinked. One night? One chance? What kind of date came with rules like that? Before he could ask, she stepped closer, so close he could see the faint patterns in her skin and the shimmer of light in her hair. Her voice lowered and she spoke a few more words. Follow me after the last shuttle leaves. Come alone, no weapons. She reached up and brushed her fingertips lightly across his chest, just enough to make him freeze in place. Her touch was cool, almost electric, sending a shiver through him. Then she turned away and walked toward the exit without another word. Aaron stood there for a moment, staring after her. His mind raced with questions. Where was she planning to take him? And why did it feel like something much bigger than a date? The last shuttle departure warning echoed through the station's loudspeakers. Aaron made his decision. Whatever this was, he had to know. He adjusted the strap of his bag, took a deep breath, and began to follow her into the unknown. When the last shuttle lifted off, the station grew quieter. The market lights dimmed, most travelers retreated to their quarters, and the wide halls that had been full of life now felt like empty tunnels. Aaron walked alone, the sound of his own footsteps echoing against the metal floor. She was waiting at the far end of the docking bay, leaning casually against the wall. The faint glow from the emergency lights traced the curves of her figure, and her eyes seemed even brighter in the half-dark. Without a word, she turned and began walking toward a side exit. Aaron followed, feeling like each step took him further away from the safety of the station and deeper into her world. The exit led to a narrow bridge that connected the station to a small docking platform. Out beyond it, a sleek vessel hovered. Nothing like the bulky ships parked in the main hangar. This one was black and silver, sharp and elegant. Its surface marked with patterns that seemed to shift and move as the light touched them. The door slid open as they approached. Inside, the air smelled faintly of something sweet. It's almost like flowers, but sharper, as if the scent itself could wake you up. The walls were lined with soft light, and the floor felt warm beneath his boots. She moved to the pilot's seat and gestured for him to take the chair beside her. As soon as he sat, the ship detached from the dock and slipped into the darkness of space without a sound. Aaron watched as the stars shifted and the station grew smaller behind them. The only sound was the quiet hum of the ship's engine. Turned to her, but she was focused on the controls, her long fingers moving with graceful precision. After several minutes, she finally spoke. The translator beeped, and the words appeared on his wrist. If you want to know me, you must see where I come from. Aaron frowned. This was no dinner, no casual meeting. She was taking him somewhere important, maybe even dangerous. Ship dipped toward a glowing shape ahead. At first, it looked like a cluster of asteroids, but as they drew closer, Aaron saw that the rocks were carved with intricate structures, glowing faintly with alien lights. Bridges of crystal connected them. Strange winged shapes flew between the towers. She slowed the ship and turned to face him. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes locked onto his like she was searching for his answer before he even spoke. "This is my world," the translator showed. "And tonight, you will prove if you belong here." The ship slid into a landing bay carved into the side of one of the glowing asteroid towers. The moment the doors opened, a warm breeze swept in, carrying scents Aaron had never known before. Rich, sweet, and strange. Like flowers blooming under a different sun, she stepped out first, moving with the same unshaken grace she had shown in the station. Aaron followed, his boots touching a surface that shimmered faintly like polished stone dusted with light. The landing bay opened into a vast balcony that overlooked an alien garden floating in space. Trees with crystal leaves swayed without wind. Glowing vines hung from curved arches, and a silver river flowed through the middle, though there was no gravity pulling it down. The water danced through the air in twisting ribbons. In the center of the garden stood a table carved from a single block of blue crystal. 2 seats faced each other, and a tall, slender alien servant was setting dishes on the table, plates of food that shimmered and pulsed faintly as if alive. Aaron took his seat opposite her. The surface of the table reflected the soft glow of the garden, and her face looked like it was lit by starlight. She spoke again in her language, her voice low and deliberate. The translator blinked and delivered the message. "Every bite you take tonight will be a question you answer. Your words and your actions will decide what happens next." Aaron's eyes moved to the plate in front of him. The food looked beautiful, but strange. Thin, glowing petals that seemed to breathe. Small spheres of liquid that floated above the plate until touched. He reached for one. But she stopped him with a single glance, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Wait, until I invite you," the translator said. She picked up one of the glowing petals and placed it gently on her tongue, chewing slowly, never breaking eye contact. Only when she had swallowed did she nod for him to try. Aaron copied her, the taste exploding in his mouth, sweet at first, then sharp, like fire and ice at the same time. It was unlike anything he had ever eaten, and it made his pulse race. Between bites, she asked him questions, not simple ones about where he came from or what he liked, but questions that dug deeper. What would you sacrifice for someone you care about? How far would you go to protect your own life? Would you die for a stranger? The food, the questions, the glow of the garden, it all felt like a dream. But under that beauty, Aaron could feel it. This was not just dinner. This was a test. Oh, a judgment. And she was the one holding the final answer. Asterisk, the garden lights shifted, dimming until the glow of the stars above took over. A soft silver moon rose from behind the asteroids edge, casting a pale light across her face. She leaned back in her chair, her eyes fixed on Aaron as if she had reached the most important part of the night. She spoke slowly in her language, each word carrying weight. The translator took longer than usual, its screen flickering before, showing the message, "Do you know why no alien of my kind has ever agreed to date a human?" Aaron shook his head. He had heard rumors in the station, whispers of ancient customs, warnings about binding promises, but none of it seemed real until now. She stood and walked to the balcony's edge, her robe moving like water in the faint breeze. Aaron followed, standing beside her as they looked out over the crystal towers and drifting rivers. Her next words came softer, almost like a confession. "Our law is older than most stars. If one of us chooses a partner from another species, the choice is forever. It is not just love. It is a binding between souls. Life for life. From that moment, our fates are tied." Aaron's chest tightened. Forever, no escape. No second chance. She turned to face him, and for the first time, there was no playful curve to her lips, only seriousness. "This is why your question was not small. By asking me for a date, you began something that cannot be undone. Walk away now, there will be no harm. But if you stay, the bond will begin." Aaron's mind spun. This was no simple choice. It wasn't just about romance anymore. It was about stepping into a life that would change everything. Her eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight as she extended her hand toward him. One step forward, the translator read, "And you are mine until the last breath we take." Aaron stood frozen, staring at her hand. The garden was silent now, as if even the air was waiting for his answer. The silver rivers hung still in the air. The crystal leaves no longer swayed. The whole place seemed to be holding its breath. He thought about her words. Forever. Life for life. No return. It wasn't fear that held him still. It was the weight of knowing this wasn't a promise that could be broken later. She didn't rush him. She simply stood there, her hands steady, her eyes locked onto his. There was no doubt in her gaze, only certainty, as if she already knew what he would choose. Finally, Aaron took a slow step forward. His hand reached out, but before there, fingers could touch. She spoke again in her language. The translator buzzed and displayed the message. "If you choose me, you also choose my enemies. They will hunt you. They will see you as one of us, and they will try to destroy you." Aaron's stomach tightened. She wasn't just warning him, she was testing his courage one last time. He glanced down at his own hands. Calloused from years of work and travel. Had faced danger before, but never for someone he had just met. Yet something deep inside told him that this was worth it. He looked back at her and stepped close enough to feel the cool energy coming from her skin. "I'm not walking away," said his voice firm. Her lips curved into a slow smile, not the playful one from before, but something warmer, almost proud. She placed her hand in his, and in that instant, the garden seemed to come alive again. The rivers flowed. The crystal leaves sang with soft chimes, and the air shimmered as if filled with light. But even as that beauty surrounded them, Aaron knew the real journey was only beginning. The instant their hands touched, a pulse of light burst from where their skin met. It wasn't just seen. Aaron felt it race through his body like fire and ice together, spreading to his chest, his heart, and then outward, as if the stars themselves were breathing into him. Around them, the alien garden reacted. The silver rivers rose higher, forming spirals in the air. The crystal leaves glowed brighter, and the towers in the distance sent streams of light into the sky. It was as if the whole place had been waiting for this moment. Her eyes never left. "It is done," the translator said. But Aaron didn't need the words. He could feel it. Something invisible now bound them. What? A connection that went beyond touch or sight. She stepped closer. Close enough that he could see the faint constellations in her skin shift and swirl like living starlight. Her voice was softer now, almost human. In its warmth, "From this night forward you are mine and I am yours. Our lives, our fates, our battles, all shared." Aaron felt no fear now. Whatever dangers lay ahead, he knew he had already crossed the point of no return. And deep inside, he realized he didn't want to turn back. She released his hand only to take his wrist gently, turning it upward. A glowing mark was forming there, a thin, intricate design like intertwined galaxies. It pulsed in time with his heartbeat. "That mark," the translator whispered, "tells every living being in the galaxy that you are chosen. No one can take you from me, and no one can take me from you." For a long moment, they stood in silence, surrounded by the living beauty of her world. Then, without warning, the sky above the garden shimmered, and dark shapes appeared at the edge of the stars. Ships, dozens of them. Their silhouettes, sharp and threatening. Aaron's breath caught. "Friends of yours?" he asked, her smile. This time, held both pride and danger. "No," the translator read, "our first fight together." And as the alien fleet closed in, Aaron understood this was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning.